Hello and welcome back to another lecture on this NPTEL course on thermal physics. Now today, as promised, we will be discussing about the pressure expression, how to get the pressure expression from mean free path, and we will also discuss how it compares with the pressure expression that we got from the standard kinetic theory of gas, that is by using Boltzmann distribution, Maxwell distribution of molecular speed. Now, what is pressure? We know that the particles, they collide with each other. When they collide, similarly they also collide with the container of the wall, the gas particles. Now, this collision, they are elastic collision, but that means there is no loss of energy, but definitely there is a transfer of momentum. So, that means every time a gas particle hits the container, the wall of the container, it will transfer a tiny amount of momentum on that container wall. Now, please remember that there are literally almost infinite many number of gas particles. We are generally talking about the numbers of the order of 10 to the power 23 unless and until we are dealing with a very low pressure or extremely high pressure situation. In very low pressure, the density can come down to 10 to the power below 10 to the power 10, and for extremely high pressure situation the number density can go up to 10 to the power 30. But these are very special cases, but in general for all examples that we take, the density, number densities typically stays in the range of 10 to the power 20 to 10 to the power 25, 26 in that range. So, that is a huge number of particles, very large number of particles, and each of these tiny particles transferring a tiny amount of momentum when they are colliding actually results in the pressure inside that container. Actually, we do not realize sometime that we are always under immense pressure due to the atmosphere, and it is exactly happening exactly because of that. So, that the air column that is present in the atmosphere, the air particle that is present around us, they keep continuously bombarding us with they collide with us continuously and from all directions. So, that is why we experience an uniform pressure upon our body all the time. We just do not realize that because we are so used to it. Similarly, for the container, it is not only one side of the wall, but all the portions of the wall that is exposed, the inside part of the container, they experience equal amount of pressure because the molecular distribution, the speed distribution, whatever you might call it, is uniform all throughout. Now, in this lecture, what we are going to do is, we are first going to consider the concept of mean free path. We all know, we have already discussed the concept of mean free path, and we want to see how that concept can be applied in order to compute the pressure of gas particles residing inside a closed container. Now, in order to do that, we have adapted the following geometry. We have just drawn a cubic container here, and please remember that I am just drawing it giving it a cubic shape just for illustration purpose. There is absolutely no necessity that it is a cube. It could be of any shape and size, any arbitrary shape and size. It does not matter, because finally what we are interested in is a tiny surface area, surface element, I would say, that has a cross section dA. Now, in the next figure on the right hand side, what I did was, I am representing this dA in a slightly different manner with a vertical coordinate system. So, I am assuming that this z, if I just try to draw this z keeping keeping the orientation intact, the z will be somewhere here, something like this. But anyway, it does not matter. We are just I am just because I am taking an element from here, the z will be vertical. If I take an element from the bottom side, the z will be horizontal. The z axis is horizontal because I am choosing the element from here, but if I choose an element in the bottom, for example, if I choose an element here, the z will be vertical anyway. It does not matter. It is just a arbitrary surface element, and it is a coordinate system that we are setting with respect to that surface element. So, now what do we consider? We consider that the element is lying at the origin and the z axis is perpendicular to that surface of that element. Now, the next thing is there is a small elemental volume dV which contains certain number of gas particles. We do not know what is that. I mean, I should not say we do not know, but we know exactly what is the number of gas particles inside that volume. That number is n times dV, n being small n being the number density, and we are assuming uniform distribution. As of now, we are not we are considering that the system is in absolute equilibrium with the surrounding and within itself. So, we assume that the density is uniform all throughout. So, the tiny volume, we know exactly how many molecules it contains. Now, the interesting the parameter of interest is the solid angle d omega, okay, and d omega we will derive. I mean, we already know, we have derived an expression for this in one of our previous classes, I guess. If not, anyway, I do not remember exactly, but we will just discuss about this in a moment. Now, when it comes to the elemental description of collision, let us assume that there is a surface on which this particle marked in red has a collision. This is the particle, this is our particle of mass m and with a speed c. I should not call it speed because at this, I mean, for this particular case we know exactly which direction it is going, but let us say it has a velocity with a magnitude of c in this particular direction, and this particular direction makes an angle theta with the with the normal to this particular surface of interest. So, when it collides, what happens is it will change its momentum. I have just given the final expression for change in momentum here, but actually I can break it into two parts. I can write the momentum along this, okay, if I call it for example the x axis. So, along x axis or minus x axis, the momentum should be m c cos theta when it is coming in. So, it comes with a minus sign, and when after reflection the momentum is once again m c cos theta. So, total change in one, this will be plus. So, total change in momentum, we are just considering the change, it is not about the magnitude. The total change in momentum will be m c cos theta minus of minus m c cos theta, because please remember this one is incoming momentum and this one is outgoing momentum, the x component, and they are in the opposite direction. So, there is already a minus sign and there is already a relative minus sign between them, and because we are considering the change, there is an additional minus sign. So, altogether we get 2 m c cos theta. So, I should not write change in momentum only, I should write change in momentum in the perpendicular direction. Anyway, I hope you understand what I mean to say here. Okay. So, the total change in momentum along the perpendicular direction is given by this. So, I should just write along perpendicular direction to the plane, right. So, we have a construction that is given here, okay, and we have a magnitude of change in momentum for any arbitrary collision for any particle which makes an angle theta with the vertical of a surface area. Now, let us move on from here. So, number of collision that is occurring inside this small volume element dV at time dt is given by half Pc, look at this expression. So, n dV is the number of volumes, number of gas particles in this inside this tiny volume, and the time is given by dt. So, it has to be as the time, the number of collision is in proportional to the time interval. So, it has to be multiplied by dt, okay. And then we have Pc, which is the collision frequency. Now, collision frequency gives you basically Pc dt gives you the number of collision per unit volume. Yeah, so that gives you Pc dt gives you the number of collision per in the time interval dt, okay. So, then this has to be multiplied. So, n dV basically multiplied by Pc dt gives you the total number of collision, and we have an additional factor half here, because please remember that two particles they collide, and if we count the number of particles so there is a factor. So, basically there is a possibility of double counting. So, if we are just computing the number of particles, that has to be divided by 2 in order to get the total number of collisions, because two particles collide gives you one collision, right. So, then comes this factor of half. So, altogether this is half Pc n dV dt. Now, because this volume dV is so tiny here, so we assume that each particle or each collision will actually knock out both the participating particles from this small volume. Similarly, another collision will knock out 2 more particles. Similarly, another collision will knock out 2 more particles in almost arbitrary direction. Similarly, another collision will knock out 2 more particles. Yeah. So, all in arbitrary directions. Now, total number of such particles that will be coming out of this small volume is this quantity multiplied by 2, which is essentially Pc n dV dt, right. And as I have already mentioned, these particles will be going in all the directions uniformly, right, because the distribution is uniform, molecular speed is uniformly distributed in all possible directions. So, the total number of particles that will be coming out, of course, will travel in all possible directions. Out of that, how many particles will travel towards this small surface area dA, that is the question we have. Please remember, please understand that the total, when we talk about all directions, so we talk about a solid angle of 4 pi, right, a total solid angle of 4 pi. Now, out of that 4 pi, only the particles that will be within this solid angle d omega, this only those particles will travel towards this surface element dA, right. So, all we have to do is we have to multiply this number of particles, which is this n Pc n dV dt with d omega by 4 pi. The 4 pi is the total solid angle. So, d omega by 4 pi gives you the fraction of particle that will travel towards this particular surface area, and we call it n0. So, these are all up to this is very elementary, nothing difficult about it. It is just that we have a long expression here, but every term of this expression is totally understandable. Now, what is the expression for d omega here? Next, we have to substitute for d omega, and d omega is given by dA cos theta by r square, and that is the standard definition of solid angles. I really do not remember if we have discussed it already. If not, if yes, fantastic. If not, please take any of the standard textbook of thermal physics. There this one will be derived. The expression, the dA cos theta by r square, will be explained in detail, right. Now, next what do? We apply the survival equation. Survival equation will tell you how much of these particles will actually reach the surface area dA, because what happens is it has to travel a finite path here. So, it will start from here and it will travel along this path we call this distance as r, that is as it is already mentioned here. So, it has to travel a distance r in order to reach this surface element dA. So, we know according to the survival equation n is equal to n0 e to the power minus r by lambda, where lambda is the mean free path of this gas assembly, right. So, n is essentially this quantity n0 multiplied by e to the power r by lambda, which is given by Pc n dV dt, and we have substituted dA cos theta by r square, and of course, there is a 4 pi here. So, it will be 4 pi r square whole multiplied by e to the power minus r by lambda. I hope this is readable. Once again, very simple, Pc n dV dt dA cos theta by 4 pi r square whole multiplied by e to the power minus r by lambda. Fantastic. So, we have already discussed what is the momentum change per collision, right. So, all these particles which will come towards the small surface area dA will have a collision with dA, right. Now, each collision will transfer 2 mc cos theta amount of momentum, that we have already discussed here, right, 2 mc cos theta. So, altogether the total change in momentum will be this quantity whatever is written here, sorry, this quantity whatever is written here multiplied by 2 m c bar cos theta. Why c bar? Because once again we are working in first order approximation. What is first order approximation? If you remember, when we discussed about derived the expression of mean free path, we talked about 0th order, first order and second order approximation. In first order approximation, we assume that the molecules are travelling with uniform speed c bar, that is the mean speed, but in all possible directions. Exactly the situation as we are discussing here. Okay. So, this is the first order approximation. So, the change in momentum is simply given by this quantity multiplied by 2 mc cos theta. Now, please understand that there is a volume element dV present here, and in order to compute this, so next what do? We just write out dV in spherical polar coordinate, and in spherical polar coordinate dV is given by r squared dr sin theta d theta d phi. So, you see there is a sin theta d theta here, there was a cos theta from here itself, right, cos theta from this expression of d omega, and there will be another cos theta from the expression of momentum change, that is m c bar cos theta. So, it will be cos squared theta sin theta d theta. So, we have just grouped it one by one. So, we have e to the power minus r by lambda dr, okay, there is 2 m c bar is a constant, we have cos squared theta sin theta d theta, and we have d phi, right. Next is, in order to get the total number of particles, or so this is an expression basically for momentum change. So, if we have to compute the momentum change for all possible such volume elements, please remember this value whatever, or this number whatever we are computing, this expression is only for this small dV, and there are volume elements here, such volume elements here, everywhere surrounding. I hope it is clear that we are just considering only one small volume element. So, essentially what we have to do is we have to compute an integral, and that integral will be for this upper hemisphere. So, what should be the range of r? R should be 0 to infinity. In practice, the range of r is typically the dimension of the container, but as we have discussed already, this L is so much greater than the mean free path lambda that for all practical purpose we can think of that integral is from 0 to infinity. So, there will be 3 integration, one on r, one on theta and one on phi. Okay. R integral will go from 0 to infinity. Theta and phi, please remember, please understand that theta and phi should be on this upper hemisphere only, because so the theta possible range of theta is 0 to pi by 2. So, this is my possible range of theta. I cannot go beyond pi by 2, because beyond pi by 2 the space beyond pi by 2 is actually outside, right. So, and for phi is 0 to 2 pi. So, the upper hemisphere corresponds to, the r range of 0 to infinity, theta range of 0 to pi by 2 and phi range of 0 to 2 pi. So, this is my upper hemisphere. Now, if dF is the force acting on dA due to collision in a time interval dt, then the total change in momentum can be written as dF dt. Unfortunately, I should not call it unfortunate, but so I am basically deliberately avoiding writing dP, because P stands for pressure, P stands for momentum. So, I am just not writing that, instead I am writing dF dt. dF dt is basically force multiplied by time, which is essentially the change in momentum, which is given by 1 over 4 pi 2 m c bar P c n dA dt, and so these up to this everything is constant, you see this entire part is constant, and then the integration will be 0 to infinity to the power minus r by lambda dr, 0 to 2 pi d phi, 0 to pi by 2 sin theta cos square theta d theta, right. Now, so basically we have to evaluate these three integrals. The middle integral is the simplest, it will simply give you 2 pi. The first integral is also trivial. You see, if you simply put x is equal to r by lambda, the integration reduces to lambda times 0 to infinity to the power minus x dx. This will give you 1. You do not even need to do any integration by parts. A simple substitute, proper integration of exponential function will give you 1 for this. So, you have lambda sin theta cos square theta d theta 0 to, sorry, this should be 0 to pi by 2, my mistake, 0 to pi by 2, yeah, it will be, if we substitute for x is equal to cos theta, this integration will be x squared dx 0 to 1, which will give you 1/3, and 0 to pi 2 pi, this integration will give you 2 pi only. So, substituting we get dF dt, which is the change of momentum in time dt, is 1 by 2 pi m c bar P c n dA dt. Once again, this was already there, the prefactor. Now, we have lambda 1/3 2 pi, and you see this 2 pi nicely cancels out, this 2 pi and this 2 pi, yeah, and finally, we have m n c bar squared by lambda 1/3. Why there is a c bar square? Please remember that P c is the collision probability, which is given by 1 over, so P c is the collision probability in time. So, P c dt is the number of collision in time interval dt, right. So, we have this is equal to 1 by tau, the mean free time, which is c bar by lambda. So, the pressure expression finally what we get is dF dA is 1/3 mn c bar square. Now, this one is different from what we get from the kinetic theory. From kinetic theory, we get P is equal to 1/3 mn c square bar, where c square bar basically is the RMS velocity square. There is a difference, c square bar and c bar square, this is the square of the mean speed and this is the square of the RMS speed. Why this happens? Let me tell you very briefly. So, the similar treatment applies for kinetic theory, and finally, the momentum change can be written in an integral of the form 2m dA divided by 4 pi integration 0 to pi by 2 cos square theta sin theta d theta, exactly the same what we get, 0 to 2 pi d phi, also the same what we have got from mean free path. Then we have the r, it is a slightly different treatment, you can look into any standard textbook. So, basically we have two integration, one in r which goes from 0 to c dt, and one integration on dnc being the Maxwell speed distribution, c dnc ranging from c equal to 0 to infinity. So, first we evaluate this integration, which will give you c dt, and then in the next step the c dt comes out and c goes into this side inside this integral, and we have c squared dnc, which eventually gives you n c square average. So, basically this one this integration is the origin of the RMS speed. So, this is the expression we get from Maxwell distribution. Okay. Now, if you ask me between these two expressions, the one we have got from the mean free path concept and one we have got from the kinetic theory, which one is correct? First of all, let me tell you that they are very close to each other. I mean, c bar is root 8 kt by pi m, and c square root basically c RMS is equal to root 3 kt by pi m, 3 kt by m, and they are not very far from each other. Of course, they are different. I mean, there is a, I do not remember exactly, 15% difference in the number. So, the two expressions are distinctly different. Now, which one is correct? For me, I am a bit confused. I am not sure which one is, which one should we accept. All the standard textbooks, every standard textbook have used this expression 1/3 mnc square, which you can get even from very elementary consideration of kinetic theory. For example, if you look into Zemansky, in Zemansky this expression has been derived even without going into the details of Boltzmann distribution function. So, it looks little more fundamental in nature as compared to this one. But when we incorporate the mean free path concept, that also looks physically very sound. So, between these two, I have seen that most of the textbooks have chosen this one, but I will not immediately discard this one. So, I request you to keep this discussion alive in the forum, share your opinion. First of all, look into any standard textbook where this expression has been derived. This expression, this derivation which I have shown you, you will not get in many books, some of the books will have it. Anyway, I have given you a detailed discussion. Then let us discuss it over the forum and try to figure out which one is the more accurate expression of pressure between these two. Okay. Now, before we end the class, let me quickly take you through this another expression for molecular flux, which is essentially the number of molecules hitting unit area of the wall in unit time. So, exact same treatment, instead of momentum change we will be, just a minute, yeah. So, we will be basically considering the number of particles that has originated from dV and hitting this area dA. Okay. So, exactly the same treatment. We first have to compute the total number of molecules that is coming out as a result of collision from this elemental volume dV here, right, and out of that d omega by 4 pi is travelling towards dA, and eventually the number that is reaching dA is that whole whatever the expression we have multiplied by e to the power minus r by lambda, exactly the same treatment. And finally, we have to compute the, just a minute, yeah. So, you see, just taking you through the steps. So, finally, n will be equal to n0 e to the power minus r by lambda. So, it will be 1 over 4 pi p c n dv dt dA cos theta by r square e to the power minus r by lambda. So, total number, once again, total number that is hitting the area is when this quantity is integrated over the upper hemisphere, that means r equal to 0 to infinity, phi equal to 0 to 2 pi and theta is equal to 0 to pi by 2. Once again, these integrations are all familiar. We just put in and we finally get 1/4 c bar n dA dt, once again by writing P c is equal to c bar by lambda, right. and see there is a lambda in the denominator and there is a lambda here. So, these two lambdas, so when I write P c is equal to 1 by lambda, this lambda and that lambda will cancel out, leaving us 1/4 C bar n dA dt. So, number of molecule that is hitting unit area in unit time is simply phi is equal to n dashed divided by dA dt, which is 1/4 n C bar. Now, surprisingly, exact same expression is obtained from elementary treatment with kinetic theory also. This time there is no discrepancy. We get everything in terms of we get the molecular flux proportional to the mean speed, not the RMS speed. Okay. So, if we start from either kinetic theory or from mean free path concept, we get to the exact same expression. But when it comes to the pressure expression, there is a difference. Anyway, so we will keep this discussion alive in forum as promised, and this particular expression phi is equal to 1/4 n C bar is of great importance when we will be discussing the transport studies, which will be discussed in the next week. Okay. So, we are closing this lecture with this comment, and see you very soon for the next lecture.